I think it's mainly just that one thing where it's like it's not anybody's fault, but I went into it without as much knowledge, and so
it sounds like it's your fault.
Yeah.
Nerd On.
What is, everyone?
What is?
Welcome to Nerd On, the podcast you didn't need, but you deserve, where all level of speedsters are welcome.
All levels of speedsters?
All of them.
Even like the slow ones?
Mm-hmm.
Even Quicksilver.
Yeah, even Quicksilver is welcome.
The slowest of them all.
Is he? Is he like a?
He's Marvel. So he's immune.
So he's not.
He
so
can't light a candle
meta.
next to any of those of the Speed
Man, I
Force.
just sounded like a fucking idiot.
Not in the DC. Yeah, you idiot. He's Marvel, you idiot.
You idiot.
And you're welcome here too.
The reason I say speedster is today we will be talking about the Flashpoint,
Boom.
as the movie's called, Flashpoint Paradox.
So let's quickly introduce the host of the episode.
I'm Corey.
I'm Tom.
I'm Josh.
Ollie.
Cool.
And I'm excited about this particularly because Flash is one of my favorite superheroes of all
But which
time.
Flash?
Barry Allen.
Okay. And for all those at home that don't know, there are multiple Flashes.
There are.
Mm-hmm.
There's always multiples.
Yeah, there's Wally
I forget
West,
what
Jesse Quick, there's Bart Allen.
There's like a really easy way
There's
to sum
Jay
up the
Garrick.
main three of Wally West, Barry Allen, and Bart Allen. There was like one has the greatest potential, one has the greatest
Experience.
whatever. Yeah. But anyway, Barry
Are there
Allen
any
is
superheroes that there aren't multiples of?
Batman,
Superman?
No,
technically?
Batman has like 3.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Superman?
Superman, there's like
got
Cyborg Superman,
bunch.
there's Superman Prime.
Bizarro Superman.
No, like different. Are they different people?
There's
Yes.
Superman from
They're definitely
Flashpoint.
different people.
Yeah.
There's Cosmic Armor Superman.
Well, no.
Is there
I'm
any?
saying is
So
that
are
they
there
all
any
Kal-
superheroes?
Are they all Kal-El?
No.
One's, no, they're not all they're all different people.
Anyway,
Okay.
The
That
universe
was a serious question.
my favorite is Barry Allen.
The
to answer your
universe
question.
works in mantles. So before we get started, what I like to do is always go around the horn and talk about our initial reactions of the book. And this is the trade or the comic book series that restarted the superhero DC continuity and went into the New 52.
Yeah.
And
It's like a fresh start.
yeah.
I'll start off. I am very biased. I bought this while I was waiting for a plane to take off in the airport. I was waiting for it to land so we could board. And I was like, oh, I'll read it. And I'll read it on the plane. It'll be really nice. I read through it before I got to board the plane. In 30 minutes, I read through this thing. I devoured it. Like I said, I'm a huge Barry Allen
And then
fan.
he had to buy a new copy because
For those of you who don't know, Barry Allen is technically the second Flash after Jay Garrick, but he is what creates the Speed Force, which is the energy or the power that all the speedsters use. Without him, there would be no speedsters. So I loved it. I thought it was a great way to kind of showcase some of the character's flaws that a lot of people don't get to see a lot, but at the same time, a lot of his strengths as well.
For me, I love it. I mean, what am I going to say? I love all the things that DC does in terms of comic book worlds and even the movies. I got to support my baby, even if they mess up every once in a while.
This is not one of those cases where they messed up, though.
No, this is great. I think, and I always said that if I were to have one superpower, it'd be super speed and speed like the Flash, because being Batman is cool and all, but also being the Flash and having superpowers where you can travel to different dimensions and travel in time is pretty dope too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
absolutely loved it. Love the ideology of the Flashpoint universe and kind of taking everything you know and putting on top of its head, which we'll go into later. But yeah, I like it.
Joshua.
You like it? I really enjoyed it. I mean, as we've established on this show, I'm an uncultured
You're
swine.
a noob.
I'm a noob.
It kind of switches between you and me.
Yeah, I'm an uncultured swine, and so many of the story arcs and many of the comic book stuff is very new to me. It's like I know the basics, and yes, I'm sorry, I have seen the CW shows, and so that's the only way that I'm like, oh, okay, I know who the character is, but I don't know anything about them.
Don't feel bad. I'm kind of the same.
Yeah.
Ish.
But then you also know where they're derived from and how they should be. But again, to Mr. Ollie's point, it's a run.
Yeah,
It's
and
a
so
run.
it was something that even
Barry
as,
Allen running.
even as an uncultured, even as an uncultured swine, there are some superhero things that are just you just know They're just common sense because of other media like movies or TV shows and stuff like that. And so reading this, I was like, oh, holy shit. What the fuck is going on? Everything I know is wrong. But was cool. But the other thing too, and I was telling
topsy-turvy.
Yeah, I was telling Tom this the other day. It's very, very interesting to read comic books based on seeing movies because there are heroes that I have never even fucking heard of. And they're like, oh my God, it's this person. And I'm like, I have no fucking clue who that is. This is my first introduction to Shazam. Who the fuck is Shazam?
Who the hell is Billy Batson in the Marvel family?
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm not saying that that's bad. I'm just saying, who the fuck is this? This is cool. Okay. Why do I not know this?
Shazam's pretty dope. Especially, I really liked this version of Shazam a lot.
Shazam. Shaquille O'Neal. Yeah.
Kazam.
Yeah, Kazam.
Sinbad.
So this is our second
comic
book that we're doing.
By this time,
Second DC comic book that we're doing. Don't worry, we'll get to Marvel soon.
Well, because we give a lot of love to the Marvel MCU.
We do, yeah. We got to balance the scales
and
a
we
little
can't.
And there's a lot of
DC. So
exactly.
So, do it here.
Right. So we try to light the shine or shine the light where we can, you know. And I have to say, like, especially after this one, like I loved it, and it made me a little sad because like Hush, I just know enough about the Batman universe to where like I was
dangerous.
I knew everything. I knew exactly what was going on. This one had more extended characters that I wish I had knew, and I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more if I knew them. Like I'm in the same boat as Josh. Like I knew about Shazam. I read through that whole scene and where they go to the kid's house like twice because I didn't understand like what happened. Like all of a sudden Shazam appeared and I'm like, wait, why is Shazam? He's running alongside them. What happened? Yeah. So I had to like go back and be like, oh, they're collectively Shazam. And then it made sense. And then there's some other characters that I don't know if they exist in the first universe. And we'll talk about that. But yeah, it was a really cool run. And I haven't read any Flash comics. My only exposure is the CW show. Oh. And
it was a cool alternate. Like,
so you have no idea who Flash is.
What's really
we'll
talk a little bit about it, but I think the big thing that you'll see, and I think a little bit what you're talking about, is that what this did also in terms of DC as a whole in the business, it combined universes. So it combined the Vertigo and the Wildstorm universes, which you saw some characters that like when he's running through the Speed Force, and you see different universes, and they're all actually coming into one. Because what happened was, we'll get into it, but what happened was that there's a bunch of freaking random universes like Earth 1, Earth 2, but then this would just try to make it into one.
Got it. Okay.
We can go into a brief, for those of you who aren't familiar with the story, Tom and I will go through a really very brief synopsis.
Before we go to the synopsis, I think it'd be good to establish where the universe is at.
Oh, okay, yeah,
so
good idea.
I guess it segued right into it. So I mean,
something that I just really want to quickly say, something that we learned from our Hush episode, because it was our first comic book episode. We learned that we did a huge
cover
breakdown.
Too much.
It was too much. And so when it comes to our comic book coverage, we're going to try to be a little bit briefer, so to speak, so you can read the comic. And we're going to give...
We're only going to spoil the best parts.
We're going to actually talk about it and not just read it to you.
Read through it.
Highlight reel.
So before Corey and I get started with it, in the DC universe at this point, a lot of things have happened. Crisis on Infinite Earths, the Kingdom Come universe happened. These are all different like timelines, different universes. There's Earth 1, there's Earth 2, there's Earth Prime. So many things are happening, and then like all the writers were kind of like at this point in like the 90s, early 2000s, were like, I don't know what the hell to write about. And so what Flashpoint and the 52 event try to pretty much do was pretty much consolidate all the universes into one. So new writers and new audiences can have a good point where they can start making content, and then people can start enjoying them again with the stories that you loved. And then if you don't remember or you don't like it, they can just forget about it. They don't have to like keep that in the they don't have to keep it in the canon.
Right.
Yeah.
It's clean slate.
I always found 52 very interesting. I didn't get super into it, but I have a bunch of issue 1s. And there's like, what is there, like 3 different Batman comics?
Yeah.
Or there was.
It was crazy. They were doing weekly Batman comics.
What do you mean by the new 52?
So the new 52.
Because I don't, you've mentioned it many a time, and I think you've shown me covers and whatnot here and there, but I have no idea what that is.
So the New 52 is pretty much a starting point. It was the dawn of a comic book era where all the DC comic books started at number 1 again. Like
interesting.
They were like
Everything.
they were issue 600 blah blah blah. No more.
They had retained their issue numbers since like the 30s.
Yeah.
So this was we're going to start at number 1 again.
Everything's number 1.
52 different books, right?
Yeah, and so 52 different books, and then they had the 52 event, which was 52 weeks in a year. But then they were having 52 new comic books. A lot of them were freaking Batman, which made it really hard to do. But more just about the Flashpoint story that we're going to get to. I could talk about DC, and we'll do another episode on that maybe someday.
We're going to do a DC episode. That'd be great.
But at this point in the Flashpoint, just to get you guys caught up to speed, Barry Allen is the Flash. And at this point, he had actually just come back from the Speed Force because he'd been gone for such a long time. And Wally West was actually the one that was holding the mantle.
Of the Flash,
The Justice League had been well-established. Batman, Superman, all your favorites. The Flash had this thing called the Rogues Gallery. So Captain Cold, Heatwave, Mirror Master, the Top. All these people were his villains, especially one of Reverse Flash, Eobard Thawne, who is from the future, the 31st century.
Reverse Flash is essentially what Joker is to Batman.
Yeah.
He's the antithesis
Always
of the
the
character.
bad guy.
Yeah. Traveled from the future to kill the Flash because he hates the Flash because in the future, the Flash is revered as the greatest hero on the earth of all time. And that's pretty much it. That's all you really kind of need to know to get this one started.
Before you go into
the
Okay.
Flashpoint.
So this is Jeff Johns and Andy Kubert. This is 2011. This comes out.
Really quick, can I just say, just because it's a part of my initial reaction, there are some incredible just one-shots and pages
man.
that I was just like,
splash pages and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there are some like, I was like, holy crap.
Like when he's losing his memories and stuff like that. There was some beautiful, beautiful art.
And continue.
So there you go. Yeah, Jeff Johns, Andy Kubert. Yeah, right. And this was written for the purpose of resetting the DC.
This is back in 2011.
It starts off, suddenly we see Barry Allen, who we haven't seen for a long time. And he wakes up at his desk and he's like, someone wakes him up and says, you got to go. So he's starting to run and he trips down the stairs. And who catches him?
His mom.
Who, if you are familiar with The Flash, she's been dead.
What?
That's where his source comes from. When he's a child, there's a flash of lightning or something that kills his mother and his dad goes to prison for it. Like that's his whole thing is that he wants to find out.
That's his story.
Yeah.
That's
and back in you find out through older series that it was Reverse Flash that killed his mom. So he create the Flash so that he could go back into it's crazy. Time travel and shit.
Paradox.
Yeah.
So he's like, Mom, you're alive. What's going on? And that's when you kind of cut to basically Batman on a tower and he's confronted by the rest of these heroes and villains. And we're like, we need to team up to stop the war. And
at this point, Cyborg is pretty much leading this kind of resistance, and he's kind of commissioned by the president to recruit Batman to create a strategy to do so with all these heroes, which some of them are mixed in with some villains. Like Captain Cold is now Citizen Cold instead, which is different from the normal continuity. If anyone has been keeping up with it, they're like, oh, this is different. What's happening?
There's little things you don't quite pick up on right away.
I mean, Batman's using guns. His emblem is red. He has red eyes. He's seen throwing a Harley Quinn-like character off a roof.
And killing them.
And trying to kill people. And this is like multiple times that Cyborg has seen that.
Something's off. Yeah. And they talk about this war that they need to stop. And it turns out, to save time here, turns out that the Atlanteans and the Amazons are at war. So Aquaman and Wonder Woman.
Well, half the world's already destroyed.
Are at war, destroying the world. So he's trying to recruit Batman. Flash doesn't have his powers, which is why he fell down the stairs, because he's not running very fast. And he goes, you know what? I got to find the one guy who can help me figure all this out, which is Bruce Wayne, Batman.
Yeah.
So he goes to Wayne Manor, and he sneaks down to the Batcave.
Because the Flash, Barry Allen, is a criminal detective, and Batman is a detective. So their paths have crossed. Their paths have crossed before, so they admire each other's work. So that's why they definitely have this relationship.
Yeah, and they know each other's secret identities and everything. So he goes down there looking for answers, and he gets attacked by Batman. and he's going, Bruce, Bruce, Bruce. And Batman finally turns to him and goes, I'm not wearing hockey pants.
Oh my God.
I feel like I need to stand up and clap because I did not
Thank you.
I did not see it coming, but my mind went, you know it's coming. You know it's coming.
But he says, why do you keep saying that name? Bruce.
Martha. Oh, sorry.
And it turns out that that's not Bruce Wayne as Batman, but it's Thomas Wayne as Batman.
His father.
In this timeline, his son was killed. Bruce and Martha. Bruce was killed in the alleyway, and I believe they don't show it in the comic.
No, we'll talk about it.
But anyway, he goes, "No, I'm the Flash. Promise, I'm the Flash. I have this ring," and he shoots the ring out, and it's not the Flash costume.
It's the reverse.
It's reverse Flash costume. So he goes, "I've been set up. I need you to help me get my powers back so I can fix whatever's going on." So he has him.
And this is like a disgruntled, smoking, really hard-boiled, like Batman.
He's got a beard kind of
He's
thing
got
going, like
5 o'clock
scruff.
shadow and stuff. And, he's more of like a doctor at this point because Thomas Wayne is a doctor.
Yeah.
So like he knows how to break bones and all that stuff. And he kind of has like a very blasé attitude. And so trying to get the Flash to douse him in chemicals and get him struck by lightning is a crazy
He's like,
idea.
all right, let's do it. So they do it one time and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And he's like critical injury burn.
He's got
3rd
third-degree
degree
burns of like
burns.
100% of his body.
Yeah.
And Thomas is trying to fix him up, and he just goes, "We got to do it again." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And he was like, "We got to do it again." Then he starts losing memories.
Yeah.
So
because at this time the timeline's trying to correct itself, so his memories of Barry Allen's original timeline's going away, and then the new timeline's going. So he's seeing actually stuff that's happening. So like a meteor coming to.
he's seeing having breakfast with his mom, and he's starting to lose his timeline, and that's scary for Thomas because Thomas knows there is a timeline where his son made it.
Yeah.
So he wants Flash to succeed at this as well
He's like,
because
keep remembering my son.
this is how I can save my kid. So they do it again, and it works. And within minutes,
On a fucking electric chair.
electric chair with chemicals everywhere.
It's so
and
awesome.
it works. And he starts healing almost like instantly because that's
Speed
part
Force
of it.
healing factor.
And he goes, you know what? This yellow's not going to work for me. And he runs away and runs back. And now he's got a brand new suit and he's
He
ready
makes
to go.
it
Yeah.
out of the same, like the material. He takes it apart
dyes
and then
and, like-
So I mean that's a really cool thing about the Speed Force powers is that you can actually change like molecules.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like you could change kinetic energy too. So yeah.
And so he goes, all right, well, let's try to fix time. Here we go. So they go off and they try to recruit a bunch of people. Cyborg, they try to Shazam.
Well, yeah, Cyborg recruits them, and then they Superman or the Flash is kind of like, we gotta go get Superman,
Yeah.
and then they don't. There's never been a record of Superman.
Yeah.
So they're wondering like, what about this meteor in Smallville? There's never been a meteor in Smallville, but there's one in Metropolis.
There's a crash.
There was a crash. And then so Cyborg starts taking them down these like sewerways and then finds that like, oh, there's a project here I don't even have access to. And then sooner or later, the president slowly starts losing his confidence in Cyborg, slowly starts disavowing Cyborg completely.
Yep.
But then later on, they discover a scraggly, scrawny, Corey-looking Superman.
Yeah, he looks just like me.
With a white
Scared
suit.
as shit.
That's never
No, it's
seen
all
the-
black.
That never
Yeah.
seen the light of day. They break him out. Superman discovers flight and then runs away.
He discovers flight, and all these guards pull guns on him,
Yeah.
and he kills them all.
And because
Because for the
incinerates them.
first time, he has powers.
he's scared. And
right? Because for those of you who don't know, Superman gets his powers from our yellow sun, our atmosphere. So when he's out in the sun for the first time, he goes apeshit and he kills a bunch of these guards and flies away. And then what's her name is there to help? I don't remember.
Juice Lady.
Juice Lady.
Element
Lady.
Woman? Or-
Element Woman. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Yeah. Who I've never heard of before.
Yeah,
I
never.
think she was made for this.
No, I think she's.
I'll look into it.
She's probably from another universe. But I'm flashing forward.
Flash pointing forward.
Maybe she's Poison Ivy.
This war is converging in Europe between the Atlanteans and the Amazons. So
Element Girl.
at a last
go.
ditch effort, Cyborg, Batman, and the Flash gather the rest of the heroes. You see Shazam, which is not just Billy Batson, but the rest of the orphans that he's usually with that create Shazam. And then they go on this kind of suicide mission to try to stop the war from happening, beating the two leaders and stopping it. Going to the battlefield, there's blood, chaos, murder everywhere. People are getting killed left and right. We're kind of going through and skipping a lot of stuff specifically, but
There's a lot of really beautiful details.
Really cool stuff.
there's
You
really
should check
dope
it out.
fights.
So essentially, they meet on the battlefield where the Amazons and the Atlanteans are fighting, and they're trying to get everyone to stop and like figure out a way for him to go back in time. And who the funk shows up?
Reverse
Flash.
Yep.
And he thanks Barry because he says, thank you for going back in time and changing history because I've become a paradox. I now exist outside the timeline. So before, the reason Reverse Flash never killed regular Flash, because if he did, he would never exist.
He just wanted to kind of foil the Flash so that he never became such like this great hero.
He wanted to like make him look bad.
Yeah, destroy his museum of his own ego.
But now that he's outside the timeline, he can do whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah.
So it was him that kind of screwed everything
And
up.
the thing is that like the Flash couldn't just go back in time and change everything or try to figure it out because two people were co-opting the Speed Force kinetic energy.
Yep.
So there's a fight that ensues.
And then we find out that it wasn't Reverse Flash that did all this.
Right.
It was actually Barry Allen. Barry Allen got on his cosmic treadmill, went back in time, got selfish, and saved his mom. And because of that, he changed the universe as we know it.
Butterfly effect.
Yeah.
Status.
So he's like, oh shit, okay, I got to go back and fix this. And Reverse Flash is about to kill him. And all of a sudden, ka-chink,
Thomas Wayne comes out with the sword.
right through his chest.
It's crazy.
You ain't no paradox no mo.
Yeah.
And then I believe he gets killed.
Well, he's been getting shot up and getting fight. He was
about
fighting
to
like
die.
Black Manta. He was fighting all these people. So he's like messed up.
He hands him a letter.
He hands Barry Allen a letter.
Give it to Bruce.
Give it to Bruce.
And he's like, all right. So he starts to run. And then
the world is ending at this point because the Atlanteans have like this end of the world
doomsday type of thing.
which is okay. Yeah, I'll explain it more in the end.
So he's going and he finds himself on the cosmic treadmill and he's like, you have to stop. I know what it feels like, but you can't do this.
Barry Allen talking to the Barry
old
Allen.
Barry Allen on the treadmill, and he pulls him off, and suddenly he wakes up at his desk.
Well, during this time, he sees all the universes. He sees the Vertigo, the Wildstorm universes. And he,
if you guys have a chance to look up that, even just that one spread,
that's
please do
this
so.
page
It's
that I'm
beautiful.
looking
and
at right now.
specifically
There it is,
in the panel, the woman in the middle is Pandora. And Pandora is
I
actually,
didn't know who that was.
she's
so.
really the kind of the one that like helped merge the universe. The thing is that Barry Allen connected them all, and Pandora is the one that kind of like brought them all into one, and that recreated the New 52.
So after this, he knocks himself off the cosmic treadmill. Everything kind of goes crazy, and then he wakes back up at his desk, like we saw in the first frame of the comic. But everything's back to normal.
Yep. No more Nora Allen.
He finds Bruce, and he hands him the letter, and we'll just end it there.
Yeah.
We'll end it there.
Single.
That's a
tier.
really great little ending that you have to if you read it, please do so.
So it's a really awesome story of how Barry Allen he messes up time, finds himself in another timeline, Back to Future 2, and then has to change that all stuff because of his selfish reasons, and then comes back to a brand new universe, which reinvigorates the DC comic book for like the DCEU, I guess.
Because that would be good.
Yes.
The end. We did it. We did it in like 15 minutes. We did it. I'm proud of Tom.
Good job.
Halftime.
We did it. Good job.
They're shaking hands.
We are. Yeah.
Why are
he's
they
crushing
kissing?
mine.
No, I'm just kidding.
Stop kissing, you guys.
So stop.
So the biggest surprise I think I saw in this specifically was, I think just how it was Thomas Wayne. I think and how that came out to be.
Seeing Thomas Wayne as Batman was pretty badass, if I have to say so myself.
It was pretty badass.
And I'm like praying that if the DC movie universe keeps going and they do still do the Flashpoint movie, I'm really hoping they get, what's his name?
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan to do
AKA
Thomas Wayne.
Negan.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just had the biggest
That would
orgasm
be-
right there.
No, I mean, before
as much as I didn't like how they portrayed Flash, Joss Whedon.
Before BVS, everyone was like, "Oh, Jeffrey Dean Morgan would be a really good like Thomas Wayne Batman, or he should be a good Batman." And the moment I saw that, and I was like, "Okay, bro, it's already there.
It's
He's
there.
already there.
It's written.
You have
Ready to
all
go.
what you need." And you forget that like Zack Snyder and Jeffrey Dean Morgan are
Buddy.
are buddies because they did Watchmen together.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh my God, maybe Zack Snyder was the key to bring this all together."
But yeah, I really hope that was probably the biggest surprise to me.
Yeah.
Was seeing and how cool his costume was.
Yeah.
You also have Maggie from Walking Dead
I know.
already in place
Yep.
for the other thing.
I know. Well, okay, so yeah, that'll be a thing we'll talk about in a little bit. Josh, any big
Biggest
surprises
surprise?
for you?
Well,
Shazam
I think one of
being
the-
multiple
I mean-
people.
I didn't know. Thomas Wayne, that's an easy,
Yeah.
oh shit. The Batman as we know it in this universe, killing Reverse Flash, that was kind of like, oh, I didn't see that coming. I think one of the biggest ones was Wonder Woman killed
Mara.
Aquaman's
Yeah,
wife.
Mara.
Yeah.
I don't know her name.
And wearing her helmet.
Yeah. That's an insult to injury.
No, he does it as a warning. As a warning, don't fuck with me. I kill you and take your crown, baby.
That's pretty much how she words it, just like that. So I thought that was kind of crazy.
I love seeing Wonder Woman and Aquaman in this way.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, like, Aquaman, he talks to fish. The joke of every, DC thing you can think of. But it's like, dude, this guy lives at the bottom of the ocean with thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds of pressure upon him and swims at speeds that Superman swims at. And this guy commands like krakens and monsters that we've never seen underwater. This guy's
he gets a bad rap.
He's a fucking badass.
He was published pretty poorly early on.
Superman.
They fixed him.
Yeah.
This reverse Superman, so to speak.
This Corey
where he's
Superman?
if Corey was Superman,
this is how it would look like.
this is what he would look like.
He's pretty crazy.
There was a lot going on in this that I was like I want to know who the Resistance is. I was like, what the fuck? This is so badass. Who are they?
I thought it was really cool to see.
It would be cool if they had a run of this universe.
Well, I mean, that's a cool thing about there's Flashpoints one-offs.
Yeah.
Where they have like different tie-ins of like, this is what happened to these characters. So,
okay. I'm going to check that out.
Does that take place where does that take place though?
It's another alternate universe. It's just like if they kept writing.
It's
before
before
Barry
Flashpoint.
Allen appears?
Yeah.
Like what happened all the years before he woke up in this timeline or whatever.
Okay.
Do you have a biggest shock or reveal from?
Biggest shock or reveal? I mean, I want to say Thomas Wayne just because that really blew me back.
Yeah. I think another one for me was the experiment not working the first time.
Yeah.
Oh,
and then and then him saying, "Put me back on," and I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
I love the page where he's being electrocuted on a fucking old school electric chair, and that's how he's getting his powers back. It was just the whole thing was very cool. It had a lot of really neat moments. I mean, it's really cool how in the end, and I hope I'm remembering this correctly because it's been a few days since I've read this, but there comes a point where he's telling his wife, or not his wife, I'm sorry, his mom.
Oh yeah.
What he has to do, and she's like,
"Do it.
If that's what saves the universe or whatever." She's like, "Do it."
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really nice moment.
She's dope.
Yeah.
Because he's like, "I don't want to," and she's like, "Well, you have to." Like that's dumb.
I love the reveal of it not being like an Earth 2 or Earth whatever number.
Earth.
It's Earth. It's
our Earth.
It's the same Earth. It's just like something got messed up.
Yeah. You got it fucked up.
I also really like the stakes of Barry getting his powers back the second time, because if he hadn't, Thomas Wayne would have died too. I don't remember if you made the panel, but he's flying towards the spiked gates.
Oh, right.
And he speeds over and catches him.
Yeah.
I liked little things like that where they raised the stakes when they didn't need to.
I did like seeing Reverse Flash die because I was like, motherfucker, say what?
But then Barry goes back in time and changes it all.
I know,
he's
but
still
I was
alive.
just still like, bam, motherfucker.
Yeah.
That was also another shock. Not shock, but it was like, I was like, oh, like I didn't even expect that to happen, because he's over him, he's monologuing, classic villain trope,
Yeah.
And how's he gonna get out?
He just gets stabbed in the chest.
Thomas Wayne ex machina.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, I know exactly what that is. Yep, it's him.
But yeah, I mean, overall, this is probably one of my favorite runs of something. This is the one that I've read the most times. Yes, Josh, you're raising your hand.
Professors?
Yes.
Can you guys explain to me, because this is something I've always wanted to understand, why Reverse Flash does not like?
So in the 31st century, Eobard Thawne is just some scientist dude, and the Flash, I don't know if he's even still around, but there's like in Central City, there's a museum dedicated to the Flash. And
there's monuments.
Yeah, and the Eobard Thawne always hated him.
There's like a Flash Day.
But was there a reason?
I think he found it that specifically that like the Flash was the most egotistical, and that like everything kind of like flourished like this dude. Because again, like the Flash at this point, like before this comic, had been Wally West, and Wally West was a little bit more of like the comical, fun, lighthearted, and then
kind of cocky.
Yeah, and this is what like I feel like what DCEU tried to do with Ezra Miller's Flash, make it more funny and all that stuff. But Barry Allen's always been like really decisive and methodical and detective wise.
That's why I said Justice League would have been great if they just called him Wally West.
Yeah, but but specifically, I don't think there was such a like the Flash did something wrong to him, or he was like some criminal that like he did that. He just literally
he's just being contrary.
Yeah,
he's just like
yeah. And that's the cool thing is that he knows more about the Flash's future than the Flash, and that he hates the Flash, and all he wants to do is kind of like take down like this ideology of this great hero by messing with the Flash.
His idea too was also to like replace him, so that the city would celebrate him instead.
Okay.
It's kind of, I think, almost like, you know how Corey said earlier, it's like how this is like a Joker to Batman. I find it close to a Lex Luthor and Superman, because with Lex Luthor is actually kind of a good guy. He thinks
it's like we don't need him.
Yeah, he thinks like we don't need, like, this guy is not the hero.
Yeah.
Like, I could be your guys' hero.
Right.
And so what I'm going to do is try to have the hero fall on his own sword, and then I'm going to come out like a shining prince.
Yeah.
But no, Eobard Thawne is, I don't know, typically pretty just like...
He's obsessive with, like, there was a run of Flash comics that I read where he wanted to take, like, he tried to seduce Iris, and he tried to, like, literally take his place. And there was some where he's convinced that he is Barry Allen. He's like, I should get all this credit. And so he's like Riddler a little bit, where he's just obsessive, and you kind of got to be like, dude, fuck off for a minute.
In a cool way. I mean, it kind of leads into a little bit. And you know, the thing about the Flash, I think he's probably one of the more fantastic heroes in terms of travel through time, you know, catching bullets, lightning and shit.
Outrunning Superman.
But he comes from a criminal investigative background. You know, he deals with, you know, characters that have, you know, MOs and are sociological and, you know, psychopathic. So it's like,
or have like genius intellect and
but the thing about like those geniuses, they become obsessive. So I think it's kind of cool.
One more question.
Yes, sir.
I know you touched on it briefly, but I want to know a little bit more about this Pandora. Is that what she's called?
Yeah, Pandora.
That's not something I know about.
She came in later. She came in later in this particular arc that we read. It was kind of a little bit for me. I was kind of like, who the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Because I'm reading through it on Comixology through the iPad app, and I'm like going along, and then all of a sudden like there's this like sentient voice that's kind of speaking while he's going back in time and trying to fix everything, and I'm like, who?
That is one downfall, that it's the comic that ties up 80 years of comics to start fresh.
Yeah.
It is like let's end it here.
Well, I feel like it's a comic for those who used to read the other DC comics, not for those who are just coming in.
Right. This was the reset so people could come in. This is right before, hey, everybody,
like
check this
if you're
out.
I feel like if you were brand new around 152 was out, if you're brand new to DC and you haven't really read anything, I feel like you should not start with that and start with just the number ones.
So you guys fucked me?
No,
I'm just kidding.
so I love
that'll be my qualm.
I love how like you are a little brother in some ways. You're like, I don't know who this is. Explain it. I don't know. It's like when you're watching movies, like, what's that? It's like,
here?
It's like, what's that? It's like they'll explain. Just give it like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is that this is the first time Pandora actually gets introduced in Flashpoint. So like, you have all the right to be like, what the fuck is this? Is she?
So did everyone else.
So okay, so I'm not.
You're not lost.
So
she comes back.
new?
She comes back later in the New 52. I keep saying the New 52, as in the
after the Flashpoint.
It sucks. I can't say it's the current run of comics because now it's in Rebirth. But like between 2012 and 2016 was New 52's run.
Okay.
So during the middle of the New 52 run, that 5-6 year period, there was an event called Forever Evil. And that's when like the Legion of Doom came around and stuff like that. But really Pandora came out, and she was pretty much created to kind of show a connection between like mysticism and science. Because, you know, Pandora's box, if you open it up, it unleashes all the crap in the world.
Right.
In the DC universe, they use the Pandora's box as a way to actually enter through Earth 3. So Forever Evil, you know, has an event where pretty much all these villains team up and fight against the Justice League. Because in the New 52, it reestablished everybody. So the Justice League had to reform up again, and they were beating the crap out of all the villains. But then later on, Forever Evil came around, and then all these villains started coming and creating their own team. A really cool thing that happened outside of the Forever Evil event, and this is, I think, a bigger point. Each character kind of serves as one small plot point. They're not like in movies where they serve as a huge plot point that does everything, but just they push the envelope just a little bit. Like if there was a wheel with like little pegs, it just moved it one notch. So she helped pretty much the Flash merge all three all the universes together, bring in the Wildstorm Vertigo universes, which later on leads into our current run right now, which is in Rebirth, because now the Watchmen are in the DC universe.
Oh,
Like they're part of that. So
Yeah.
they're under the same, even though DC did all the distribution, now they could do tie-ins together. Before they never did tie-ins. But they're still different universes. But yeah, Pandora helped bring in all those universes in. There were a couple characters that you might have saw, like a dude with the red mask and like lines, and he's the grifter. He is part
that
of
was a part of, is it called a splash page when it's just so
there's a bunch of characters.
it was like they called it the Resistance, and that guy was at the front of it.
So, which kind of brings me to a point. Did I kind of answer that question?
I mean, it sounds like there really isn't an answer.
I mean,
Almost.
she's just like this mystical being that kind of lives outside of time and space, and she consults this Council of Eternity, which is like part of like what gives Shazam his powers and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I mean, there's a bunch of magic involved with her. So I mean, the tough thing about magic, they can kind of plot point, retcon anything.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Because magic.
yeah,
Because magic.
Because what really she did, I forget the character's name. There's another character in Infinite Crisis that kind of was just like in the Infinite Crisis story arc, which we might do in the future, is pretty much
Future
all
foe.
these universes were ending. But there was one character who literally witnessed them all ending, and he would just every page of the universe end, he'd be like, "But why?" and crying like a little bitch, until the very climactic point where he goes to our universe and he tells the heroes like, "Your universe is ending," and it's like, "You were literally here to just explain the story."
You are exposition.
Yeah, and so
The character.
Pandora
I am Mr. Exposition.
Pandora kind of served to that.
Okay.
Kind of served to that point because she does kind of explain a little bit about the fate of like the Amazons and Diana and all that stuff. But
I'm gonna bring it back, if you don't mind, back to the Flashpoint.
Yeah.
Steer it back this way. I kind of want to lead into the differences between
which I was going to say,
the movie and the novel.
which I was going to seg you into.
Seg you. I did it for you. I'm sorry.
Because that character is not even in the animated movie.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
you know what
so-
it is?
So yeah, this like I didn't see the animated movie, and you showed me some stuff.
Yeah. So
Some great shit.
Yeah.
Can we start with the Martha?
Also, mini spoiler alert for that.
Yeah.
By the way.
So
Many a
everyone,
spoiler
everyone
alert.
at home, I definitely recommend reading the trade. It's super short, but also watching the animated movie. Because there is a lot of stuff in the trade that doesn't get explained. But then in the movie, what they do, they incorporate a crap ton of stuff in that movie.
so you can follow it.
So, but it kind of also serves as like a commercial to get you more excited about these new issues, these new comics coming out, these titles.
The biggest thing for me, spoilers again,
So Thomas Wayne is Batman in this Flashpoint universe
and Martha becomes Joker.
because what happens is, so you know, Crime Alley.
Yep.
Thomas and Martha Wayne walking down, little baby Bruce, and then Joe Chill comes out with that gun, bang bang,
Shoots Bruce.
but doesn't kill Thomas and Martha. Shoots Bruce. Thomas Wayne jumps the guy, punches him to a bloody pulp. Looks back. Martha's crying with baby Bruce in his arms, and she, you know, tries to kiss him, you know, goodbye and all that stuff. And then she's like realizes like there's blood all over, and she covers her mouth, and she's crying, and she realizes there's blood in her hand now in her mouth. She takes it off, and it's like the outline of a smile.
yeah.
Like the
And
Joker
she starts
paint.
laughing.
And there is a one-off title issue with Batman Flashpoint where you see
Thomas
Mar-
Wayne is Batman
and Martha as a Joker.
It's really good.
It's really cool. In the animated film, they have a bit of an opening with Barry Allen and Nora Allen, the mom, where a car is broken down and they're trying to hitchhike back home, and Barry Allen's trying to run and go there.
It
And
sound like you just said barely.
Barely Allen.
Barely Allen.
Barely
Barely
Allen.
Allen.
He's barely Allen.
Allen's trying to
He
get-
technically is barely Allen at this point.
Barry Allen's trying to get some assistance, and one of the things that the lessons is that the mom says is like, know what you can change, and have the know what you can change, have the courage to do with that, and then have the wisdom to know the difference between both. And it kind of serves,
Serenity prayer.
yeah, Serenity Prayer, exactly, yeah. And it serves as a super good moral for that film later on because, yeah. And then later on after that, there's a sequence between the Flash capturing all of his rogues, and then the Justice League helps him. And you see like how the Justice League is supposed to be.
Yeah.
So when you watch it throughout the later on, like you see like, oh, that's why everything's all messed up. Like you see like, oh, that's why why is Barry Allen freaking out? Doesn't he know his friends? Like, oh, because he knows how they really should be. In the animated movie, Thomas Wayne doesn't stab Eobard Thawne through the heart with the sword.
What really?
He shoots him in the head with the
Yeah.
gun.
Just straight up pistol.
And so you pretty much see have a
and
close
they
up.
include Captain Adam
Yeah.
for some reason.
So you have a
Why not?
You have a a close up of Eobard Thawne's face, right? So from eyebrow down to chin, and he's talking, and all of a sudden, when he's talking, all of a sudden you hear bang, and then it just pans up, and you see a hole, and you see Thomas Wayne at the end of it with the gun.
Oh damn!
It is super dope. Super dope. Damn. It is super dope. Yeah. So the Atlantean weapon in that they use to kind of end the world is actually powered by Captain Atom. Captain Atom is, I would call him like the government poster boy in most universes because he pretty much is very militant and he actually looks up to Superman and such, but he can actually defeat Superman in some senses because he can create radiation at different levels and different types of radiation.
Oh, interesting.
And so during the war, he was sent as like a first responder to go in and stop, but then after that, radio silence. So Aquaman captured him and then created a weapon out of him.
Interesting.
A little bit later on, what they don't see, I forget. Did they show Etrigan in this? Etrigan, the demon. There's a demon character who is super dope. He's one of my favorite DC characters, and he's part of the Resistance.
Okay.
And it's Jason Blood, and he turns into a demon. But the thing is, he only speaks in rhymes. And so he says, "Gone, gone, the form of man, rise, the demon Etrigan." And then he becomes a demon. He's part of this, like, the group that pretty much is resisting against, like, the war, and they help out, Batman, Cyborg, and all that stuff. There's even Grifter, the guy who with the red mask and the black thing. And it's funny because, like, there's some dialogue between Thomas Wayne and Grifter when they're fighting during the Resistance.
I was looking him up. He is kind of in there, but he doesn't do anything.
Yeah,
he's just kind of in the background or something like that.
They do a little bit more glory to, like, some of these characters. I don't think they should be side characters, these characters. But in the animated, they have Grifter and Batman working together, shooting people off. And then, like, Grifter's like, "Oh, wow, it's like the world's greatest detective. Who would know, like, you and I would be good partners?" And then Batman says, like, "Oh, Grifter, the boy wonder." And I was like, oh, I was like, that could have been his Robin. That's so dope. But Grifter is such a different character than what Robin is. Grifter is so almost more closely related to, like, what Deadpool would be.
Yeah.
So it's so cool.
I can't remember if it's in the comic or just the
animated,
the guy with the spy that Diana kills.
It's Steve Trevor.
It is, right?
It's
in the comic though?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty bad. And, like, Lois Lane's, like, on there, like, doing ground, like, recording.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like just from what it sounds like the whole battle at the end of it, it's almost like I almost got the feeling like it didn't matter. Like Flash was just kind of like working his way through it just to get to where he needed to be.
This battle needs to happen.
It was like background noise.
I can maneuver around it.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I just gotta get away from this mess. And, like, so, like, the little details, I got the sense that, like, none of it really mattered. And his goal was just to, like, just get away from it.
You're saying in the animated?
No, in the comic.
Yeah.
In the comic, definitely. And the cool thing in the animated, they made it very much more like a suicide mission, where it was like, we need to go in there, we need to stop them at all costs. And they had plans of how they're gonna, like, handle Wonder Woman and how they're gonna handle Aquaman.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that's dope. But then they're like, we can handle Wonder Woman by herself. But then the moment Aquaman came, he's like, we can't handle both.
I feel like I wanted, like, one more issue in there with just the fight
battle
and have him, like,
I could dig that.
Have him get a little bit more invested in some of the characters.
Well, I think
try to help out.
Part of that might be the fact that if he dies, there's no hope.
Right.
So he's kind of got to stay on the outskirts of it. He's the only one who
and ultimately
prevent.
It doesn't matter what he does because,
yeah.
I mean, I always say, if you think about it, the Flash could probably take out the entire armies and just let just the main heroes fight and duke it out, and they probably could have taken it out. But then again, would have been too logical.
Bruce Wayne has a contingency plan for everyone in the Justice League.
Not Thomas Wayne. Not this Thomas Wayne.
That's true. That's a good point.
This Thomas Wayne be drinking.
What character was that?
I don't know.
But
it was almost like Gale the Snail.
I don't think he's coming back.
But I think, I mean, are there any other differences we want to mention before we get to our favorite parts?
That's all I can think of. The Martha one was
because I haven't seen it. I wish I would have known.
I didn't know.
I feel like I didn't do the homework.
Different.
I'm really sorry, professor.
They were on Netflix and they might be on HBO. I don't know. This might be dating it, but
I also own it.
So I'll tell you this right now. Whatever you think, whatever your holds about Dark Knight, Batman vs Superman, Man of Steel, Justice League, all the DC movies ever, Wonder Woman, the DC animated movies are really goddamn good.
Oh yeah.
I'll also give a
100%.
shout out to Young Justice.
Oh my god.
Tom got me hooked on that, and I watched it all in like 2 days, 3 days, I think.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a phenomenon. Their DC animated is, and it sucks because it has had a hard time marketing wise because it's supposed to be quote unquote kid shows, and I think we talked about this in another episode. But they deal with a little more mature. They treat their audience a little more mature than other animated shows do.
A couple of the ones.
It picks up on adult audiences. So stuff
Right.
like Justice League or Batman animated, they weren't selling the toys that they were supposed to sell, like market wise.
the show.
Versus like the Marvel animated stuff, like is way more kiddie and it's harder for me to get into. But
It sells toys.
this is a big shout out. May he rest in peace, Dwayne McDuffie. He was amazing like writer, and he really influenced a lot of the animated series, like their tone. So
Yeah. The last good Marvel animated series was X-Men.
The thing that I love is the movies, like all of the other animated movies.
Same time.
The ones with like Damian Wayne and stuff like that.
Yeah.
those are good.
Those are like straight up. I think they're rated R.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause
There's also Justice League Dark, which was a really fun movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
I like the Batman. This is not the DC animated universe
No,
episode.
no, no. Okay, so anyway,
Right.
favorite parts of Flashpoint.
Favorite parts of Flashpoint. Joshy Josh?
Thomas Wayne. Honest, I can start
start
off
off
if
if you want.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
start it off.
I really, because it took me a second to realize what had happened. But
Shazam.
there's a point. No, it's not Shazam. But there's a point where Enchantress betrays them, right?
Yeah.
Turns
When
against
they get
them,
there.
is fighting, and then like Superman,
Comes
just-
in.
bam, she just like disintegrates.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like I think that has to be my favorite part.
Because you don't get to see that side of Superman very often.
Yeah.
I think the cool thing about this entire comic is the fact that like you get to see a different side of it. Because again, like what I've always loved about Superman, he holds back his punches. But then you see
What's
someone
that
that's
line? Deep down, he's a good guy, and deep down, I'm wearing hockey pads.
Again,
Yeah, you got
already?
a twofer.
I got two for. I couldn't
Oh
resist
my
that
God.
one. That segue was too
Not
good.
okay. Not okay.
But to see a Superman
now you
unchained,
owe us money.
It's okay because it's a DC.
It's a
related.
DC
Oh,
one.
okay. Okay.
that means DC means double Corey.
Yeah.
There you go.
We should get a cuss jar.
Yeah.
And that should be a cuss.
A hockey pads.
For $1 every time.
The hockey pads jar.
man,
But yeah,
go
seeing
broke.
Superman unchained where he doesn't really have to control his powers. And in a sense where like people just die and it's like it's not like it's terribly okay, but it's more like they're at war.
Like
And
when
the
he
world's
kills
gonna-
Reverse Flash, you're like, that happened. That's done now.
Yep.
He's dead. There was no like big moment. It was just kind of like oh, okay. He's like, all right, now you need to go back in time, dude. I just killed him. Go.
and go.
My favorite part is him getting his powers back. That
Flash.
moment where Thomas is working on him, trying to save his life, and he just grabs his hand and is like, "Put me back in the chair." And he's like, "What the?" He's like, "Put me back in the chair before I forget." And I was like, "Barry Allen, you fucking." When the shit hits the fan,
That
you
was
are
a cool
ready to
aspect.
handle
He's
it.
slowly forgetting
Yeah.
to a point where he could completely forget and be like, "What happened?
What are
Like-
we doing?"
Like going to the refrigerator and
blacked
forgetting
out.
what. Yeah, exactly.
I blacked out what happened.
He could forget that there's another timeline he's trying to go back to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then it's
Yeah.
done.
And that's terrifying for Thomas too, because then that's the only hope he has. I liked that aspect too. The reason Thomas is so committed is he's like, I can save my son. This thing that's like turned me into what I am today.
But the thing is that he'll know that his son's doing it too.
Yeah. And there's a great little tie up at the end, which I didn't talk about, but
Josh?
I mean, I the thing is that this really was such a good read that all of your favorite parts are going to be like, oh yeah, that really was good. If I had to like pick, probably when Barry's talking to his mom and she's like, no,
yeah.
you gotta do it. I know that I don't exist, and she does it. And
Yeah.
and then also the end. The end, there's a really great scene between Barry Allen
That's mine.
and Batman.
Yeah.
That's fine.
We can't talk about it though, because I don't want to spoil it. It's too good. There's
We'll
another
spoil everything, but we'll not spoil this.
Yeah.
I'll say this too. The excitement I got when he tries to show Thomas that he's the Flash and he pops his ring open and the Reverse Flash costume comes out. I was
oh,
giddy.
shit.
I was giddy. I was like, oh my God. He put it in the ring. He put it in the ring.
It's really cool because like
Sorry.
so it's funny when you watch the animated movie, it's like, oh for sure it's Reverse Flash that's like behind all this. Reading it is so different. So definitely read
Yeah.
it first. Because when you read it, you're kind of like, I don't know what's happening.
Not even Barry knows what's happening.
They're just going to throw me in. But then they let the reader try to figure it out. And that's a cool thing. It's like
they give you clues, little
here's
trickles.
The clue. So, my favorite part is the end to end.
Yeah.
End to end.
End to end.
My man.
Go read it.
My man, be man.
I think I bought it at an airport, so you know that's high price. I bought it at the airport for $15, so you could probably find it at your local comic book shops for like $10, $12.
Yeah.
Go local, support some mom and pop copy shops.
Yeah.
Some more of them mom and cops.
And make copies.
Exactly.
And
Like
put mom and
FedEx.
pop comic shops out of business.
Yeah.
No, go to your local comic book shop, ask them for it. They have it. I guarantee it.
Yes.
And my favorite part, but I don't think there should be any qualms.
No, I have one.
I have a couple.
Oh.
I have one, actually.
People don't want to record after today, huh? People want to die.
Final episode.
That was your car
I will
outside,
judge
right?
your-
How is it?
I will
Tom.
judge your crumbs.
My crumbs?
Your crumbs. I'm done.
crumbs.
I'm done. I'm out. I will judge your qualms harshly, but firmly.
So if I just Wolverine my keys, how does your car feel about that?
Come on.
Team Flashpoint. No.
I know
What are your
you're
qualms?
Team
allowed to have
Flashpoint.
qualms?
What are your qualms?
Let's have some qualms,
Let's have
Ollie.
some qualms. All right.
Yeah.
Qualm off.
Go.
No. I think it's mainly because the pressure. I think it's mainly just that one thing where it's like it's not anybody's fault, but I went into it without as much knowledge, and so
It sounds like it's your fault.
Yeah, I didn't know because I was like, okay, so you're
sorry you're
different
uncultured.
now. You're different in this timeline. I don't know who you are, so I don't know if you're different or I'm supposed to be surprised at you or what. Like that was the only partial qualm, and then I felt like I wanted more at that third act. I wanted to feel a bit more. Like,
And
invested.
I meant to say this earlier because we've been saying this a lot throughout this episode. Shazam being a lot of kids. The thing about it, if you don't know who Shazam is, it's only one kid.
It's Billy Batson.
It's Billy Batson.
But then he has a Marvel family.
Yeah.
So there's other kids that can turn into other Shazam-like people.
And in this one, all of them combined to create Shazam
And
instead.
and they're not even called the Marvel family. I don't even know what the hell they're called because Marvel is stupid and shit. But they're called the Shazam people.
Yeah. So anyway, sorry to interrupt there, but that's
No,
they're
I
called-
wanted
that
to
was
make sure we
mainly it.
explain that to the
This
fans.
is why you're wrong.
The
Yeah.
Shaquille O'Neal people.
Yeah.
that was pretty much it. But like I enjoyed like comparing it to Hush. Like I was more like I knew everything that was going on, so every little thing that
Was
that was
add-on.
different or changed or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that's where I was like, ooh, that they're pulling that from that.
Because
They pulled that
Batman
from
to
that
you is what
story.
Flash is to me.
Right, exactly. Which actually, Quam made into like the silver lining from that is that it's going to get me to go read more Flash for sure.
I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
Joshua?
So I took some self-responsibility and I realized that I was not going to know anything about that. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow. I think it's all these last episodes here.
Someone's car has been saved.
No. My only qualm, and it's super tiny, is that Pandora thing. And we talked about it where it's like it doesn't really have.
It was more of a setup.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
to expand upon that, if I were to ever have a qualm, it'd probably be like, what the fuck are all these universes? Like, no one fucking knows, like, the Wildstorm and Vertigo and all that shit. Like, someone that is, like, deeply rooted in all the comics are like, oh, shit.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
But then
That
someone
was
who's, like,
up to
picking up for the
giant.
first time, which is, again, it's a kind of like a cautionary tale for, like, first-time readers that are, like, who don't know. They're like, welcome for the ride. You know, you're kind of, again, every kind of time you pick up a trade, they try to do its best to kind of establish what's going on, but they don't tell you about like the outer rim picture,
Yeah.
which is a lot.
Like for a story that was like meant for the clean slate, it definitely like for some reason it felt like it needed to bring all the baggage with it
a little bit. Yeah.
a little bit. But
Just wait for Infinite Crisis.
Yeah.
That will bring a lot of fun. You'd be like, what the hell is a monitor? Anyways.
So, I mean, not really. I mean, I guess it's a qualm. I guess it was my only like.
it was like I don't know where to place
The
this.
fact that you can't give me a straight answer is kind of like. Okay.
Oh,
then-
that they introduced Pandora for no reason?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my qualm. That's my only qualm where I'm like.
to me, it's like a J.J. Abrams Easter egg.
It was a seed. It was
Okay.
they
It's a
planted
J.J.
seed
Abrams
for a
show.
tree later on.
What's like a mystery box? Like, here's this character. The fuck? You can't do that to me, JJ. Can't do that to me, Jeff Johns.
Yeah.
GJ.
Whiskey Tango Foxtrot.
But
Rating.
rate.
Oh man, I
Who
don't
must
remember
rate?
what I rated Hush.
We all rated it 5
Did we?
Thanks.
for sure.
I'm pretty sure that we all rated it a 5.
Well, I'm retconning. I'm doing the new 56. How many episode we have left? And we're saying it's 5.
Sure.
Hush is 5.
So whatever we said.
Retcon that. Yeah.
Hush is 5. You want 5 to the face?
This is above Hush for me.
Oh,
Really?
Wow. Well, just our attachment to the characters, I think.
Well, yes
Right?
and no. Yeah.
You thought it was a better told story and all that.
If
I
Hush,
thought it was a more interesting story.
Yeah.
I really
I'll
like
give that to
Twist.
you.
it's a universal event.
Yeah, I'll give that
Yeah.
to you.
It's a universal
Yeah.
event.
I liked.
Oh, you'll
Well,
give it to him. But
No.
you're not gonna,
Yeah.
I liked Hush. It was a nice. I really liked that story a lot, and I really liked the similarities between Batman and stuff like that. But the scale of this for me was a lot more fun to play with.
Sure.
Moving Reverse Flash outside the timeline, seeing Thomas Wayne as Batman, turning a lot of the things that I've known my whole life on their heads, for me was a more visceral experience than Hush.
Sure.
Because Hush is all of a sudden they're like, here's a character you don't know and let's explain him, and he's really cool.
I was very biased with my Hush rating. Like, it was more like this is just it's scratching the itch that I wanted out of a Batman story, which is something that takes place at this point in time, as opposed to retreading the past. But I can
it's kind of in line with the sense of like I liked Hush a lot, but it's just a character they introduced for this run. Whereas with Flashpoint, they're like, here's Batman like you've never fucking seen him before. So.
Well, I mean, I guess what I would say. Sorry.
I was gonna say if I rated Hush a 5, this is 5.5.
Okay.
You can't go with that. That's like a 6 range. We can't.
I'm gonna get
Say 5.
I'm gonna
say 5+.
It's
5.
S. It's like when you play
New
arcade
game
games.
plus.
S.
Well, in arcade games, SSS. It's 3 S's. That's the highest rank you can go.
Well,
Aren't you fancy, Mr. SSS?
And
I've never
give it
seen
5.
that.
I'll give it 5 stars then.
Okay.
But it's a real gold star, like really gold,
Hold on,
like
let
rose
Jo-
gold
let
5
Jo-
stars.
It's a
Josh talk.
shiny 5-star.
Rose gold.
bro, because here's the thing about Hush. I don't think that, yes, I know that it's DC. I know that Batman's involved. But the thing about Hush is that I can read it by itself.
Self-contained.
It's self-contained. So if we're going to use the previously stated system that 5 stars means I
Can't
would not change a goddamn thing, then I can't, by law,
Go by 5.
make this a 5. Because here's the thing. For me to make this a 5, I have to go read other comics. But we're just talking about Flashpoint. Like with Hush, we can just talk about Hush as its own thing.
If we had done Empire Strike Back, but you never got to see New Hope, you'd still give it a 5.
Probably.
Oh, shit.
I don't know.
That.
I mean, but that's the thing too, is like,
Because there
because
is stuff to back this up. Like there is stuff to back up. The reason Empire is so good is because we got the exposition out of the way with New Hope.
True.
So the reason Flashpoint for me is so good is because I read the shit beforehand.
That's
Which is
true.
what he's saying.
Right.
Yeah, that's good point. No, obviously I could not, because I'm like, who the fuck's this guy? So
I think maybe for what you're trying to say is like the dramatic tension that was built up in Hush didn't need to be provided from other sources to supplement it.
It was a self-contained story.
But it's hard for me to even tell because again, I'm biased because I know a lot more about the Batman universe than I do.
It does rely on past stuff because it has the whole Bat family.
Right.
It has
and I know
Huntress,
Killing Joke, and I know
it has Killing. Yeah. So
it's hard to tell.
It's hard to take any comic by itself. Because everything does rely on past experience and universal knowledge of the character.
Numbers.
I give it a 4.5. It's still high.
Yeah.
It's still because I really did love it.
I'll give it a 4.5 as well.
Wow. I'd probably give it a 4.8. The only thing, the point 2, I changed the artwork. The artwork's great.
Really?
I think the artwork's great, but Jim Lee though. Jim Lee.
Fair enough.
Wait,
I'm comparing.
You would change the. I thought. I mean, I liked
for the
Hush,
Flash.
You thought this
but
artwork
I loved the artwork of this.
I think the artwork is great. It's way better than I could ever
Everything can be
fucking do.
Jim Lee, Tom.
But Jim Lee, oh my God, Jim Lee is just like that truffle shit. You know what I'm saying? That extra.
Did you use that as a metaphor, saying like a little bit before saying that? Like,
Too much of a good thing, Tom.
I'd ask for this truffle. I'd want the fries.
That'd be like, you know what? You just insulted so bad, like the artist who did this. That'd be like if you directed a movie and they were like, I would change one thing. Ryan Coogler directed this, then you got to have variety. Otherwise, there's no
You
competition.
have to have variety. But then again, we're talking about like rating, right? I think the artwork is great, but like, I just prefer a different type of aesthetic sometimes.
Okay.
I'm telling you, if it had been that, it'd be perfect 5. But I'm saying the artist is great. The inker is great. The penciler is awesome. But I'm not saying that they're bad, but I'm just saying, hey,
Yeah, I feel you.
If you had
You
your
didn't ask them.
And I'd
about
love
the
every
differences.
movie to be directed by David Fincher.
Okay, there you go then.
if you had your druthers,
But I'm not going to knock Star Wars because it's not David Fincher.
if you had
This
your
would have been a
druthers,
5-star if it was directed by David Fincher.
Yeah, Star Wars would have been 5 stars if it was David Fincher, but only 3.
All right, fuck you guys.
fuck you guys, I'm going home.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Cool.
Wow,
That was a good episode.
that was a super good episode.
Right on the money.
Yeah.
Does everybody at home feel
super good?
complete?
Yeah.
Super good.
Super powered.
Tell us
Yeah.
what you thought of Flashpoint if you've read it
Yeah, if
or
you've read
watched it.
or if we have inspired you to
Yes.
read it,
Oh, yeah. Please read it.
please do.
I wouldn't say I wouldn't have never read it, but I probably wouldn't have read it anytime soon.
But go watch it.
Yeah, go watch it now.
Go
We'll
watch
talk
it
to
at the
you.
very least. Yeah.
Yeah. Do whatever you got to do to get that flashpoint.
And where
Here's
can
a-
they let us know when they
Slip inside in the
watch it.
DMs.
Everything that you need to know about Nerd on the Podcast can be found in one place, nerdonthepodcast.com. It has all of our social media stuff. That includes our Instagram, Twitter. We're a lot more active on Instagram, so if you're going to focus on anything, I would say check out our Instagram.
We also stream weekly every Thursday.
Yeah, on the YouTubes.
You can check us out there. We're also going to start having some content.
Yeah,
Some more
Gaming
stuff.
videos.
yeah, a lot of stuff going on with the Nerd On world. A big thing in our world is our Patreon. We have a lot of goals with that. We get to meet once a week to do this, and our goals is to be able to do this maybe multiple days a week.
Maybe like as a job.
That'd be cool.
Maybe, that'd be
Wow,
kinda
that would be cool.
If you would like more content, it doesn't have to be pure hour-long content, but even like small spurts of it, just more of it for you
Snippets,
guys.
videos.
Yeah.
We'd love to make more content for you guys.
Branch off into.
But that requires time.
Yeah.
So share with your friends, share with your family.
Even $1 helps. What if we had, let's say you had like 10,000 friends give $1?
Oh my God.
I mean,
That's
technically,
$1.
if we just had like, our like 500 on Instagram listening and just give $1, that'd be cool too.
Yeah,
So.
just
Anyway.
$1.
And imagine
enough-
if they were 2. Imagine it was $2.
pandering.
Dang, we're just going on.
Or, at the very least, rate, comment, subscribe.
Oh man. We
Yeah,
love
I
you
Leave
all.
us a leave
in
us
the
a
end-
review on iTunes.
Even listening is helping us.
Yeah.
That's exactly. I mean, that's what I was going to end
Yeah.
this on is your support by listening is number one to us. We appreciate it. Thank you so much for listening. And as always,
Nerd on.
Ending broadcast.